Friday, November the 8th edition of the Carolina Weather Video. I am meteorologist Matthew East here along with you. Before we get into our weather, I wanted to start off with this. What an amazing, just devastating event this has been. This is the super typhoon over on the western side of the Pacific Ocean. This has been one of the strongest tropical systems on record making landfall in the Philippines. And this was just a textbook tropical cyclone as it approached the Philippines, made landfall. It appears with sustained winds of about 190 or 195 miles per hour. Just amazing. And I am really fearful of what the reports and the devastation is going to be like there in the Philippines. Just a horrible situation there. On to our weather, and we had a cold front move through yesterday, kind of the transition day yesterday. 74 in Charlotte for a high, 65 in Greensboro, 70 in Raleigh, but now it's colder. Here come the 30s plunging back in. These are 5:30 a.m. Eastern time temperatures, and that chilly air spilling on in from the northwest. And now you have much of the central and the eastern parts of the country engulfed in a pretty chilly air mass. And that's going to be the big weather story around here the next day or two. Look at the 24-hour temperature changes. Birmingham, 28 degrees colder now than it was at this point 24 hours ago. 20 degrees colder in Boston. Let's focus here on our region. And significantly colder this morning than what we had out there yesterday morning. We continue to see an area of high pressure building on in from the west. A little cold front as we get into the weekend. Will approach mainly by late Sunday, but it's not going to cause any weather problems. All it will do is cool us down a little bit Monday compared to what we're going to see for highs on Sunday. So today, 50s for highs in a lot of spots. Probably still a lot of 50s, maybe some low 60s in the Piedmont tomorrow before we see a milder air mass, albeit just a little bit of a change, but still a milder air mass nonetheless for Sunday. Now, there's been a lot of talk about what's going on for the middle parts of next week. Now, as I've been mentioning, I've shown you some of the model charts over the past couple of days that some of the various models have been printing out. But I've cautioned you that any scenario showing snow was very unlikely, and I have no changes to my thinking there. Let's take a look at what the European model is printing out now. Still developing that surface low just east of the Outer Banks by Wednesday afternoon, and that still throws some precipitation back into the pretty cold air, and it will be a very cold air mass moving in. That's almost a certainty. It's going to get really cold mid to late parts of next work week. The GFS is much different. I'll show you that in greater detail in just a second. But there's the snow chart from the European model. This was from the 0Z run last night, still putting out some pretty good snows in the Mid-Atlantic and down into parts of North Carolina as well. But again, that aspect is unlikely to occur. I'll show you more again in just a second. Here comes the cold air, though. These are GFS model projected temperatures Wednesday afternoon of next week, and then here come widespread 20s for lows by Thursday morning. The cold air, so let's just kind of get right into it. This is what the 0Z European model looks like at 500 millibars. This is valid Wednesday afternoon, and it is still cutting off that low pressure in the upper levels there, that closed upper air low, as it moves on through the region. Now, there have been some changes, subtle, since the 12Z run yesterday that put down that tremendous snow event. Let me show you the difference in that and in the GFS. That's the European model, and you notice the GFS model just kind of has a progressive trough moving through, and the Canadian kind of leans in that direction as well. That's the 0Z GFS. I peaked at the 6Z GFS, and it still looks like basically a cold front moving through. So here was the result on the 0Z GFS. Big-time Arctic air mass arriving late Tuesday into Wednesday, but no coastal low forming. Now on the European, a much different scenario. This is Tuesday evening, the boundary, that Arctic cold front moving through, and then again, there's that low pressure developing along the coast. As we get into Tuesday night and Wednesday, that then lifts right up the coast as you go further out in time, so that by Wednesday night, you have a big-time, pretty potent coastal low cranking, and again that dropped some snow. The European did on its most recent run into that area, something like that. Now, you look at what's happening in relation between those two models, why the differences. All right, well, let's go. First of all, I'm going to show you the European model. This is the most recent run of the European model, Wednesday evening. Compare that to the previous run, the 12Z run, same time, Wednesday evening. And there's been a subtle trend, although it's still closing off this upper air low. I think it's sort of trended in the direction of a later closing off of this upper air low. And I would imagine the European is leaning more in the direction of a more progressive scenario, certainly going with a later closing off of that low. So we look at the ensemble charts here. This is the European spaghetti ensembles, and many ensembles do close off this low, but you notice the positioning is very different in many of the various ensemble members. And so again, let me see if I can pull up maybe this chart right here. Well, what you have here is just enough energy on the European model, kind of rounding the base of this trough, that it does so in such a fashion that it can close off this upper air low, whereas on the GFS, you don't have enough energy coming around the base of that trough. You don't have enough ridging out in the plains, and so you just get a strong trough, but it's basically just a cold front moving through. Now, again, the cold air is definitely coming. This is what the European model shows for 850 millibar temperatures, and that's 12 degrees sub-zero, 850 temperatures in the Tennessee Valley Wednesday morning, and then that large area of temperatures colder than 8 below zero Celsius there over much of the eastern United States by Wednesday afternoon. And you look at the ensemble mean, and pretty good agreement overall with it. That's going to be a good shot of cold air next week. Regarding any snow potential, again, as I've been mentioning, I think that's rather unlikely. You can't discount that European scenario, but just so many things have to go right in order for that upper air low to close off and that surface low to form that I think, again, it's unlikely. But not impossible. Unlikely, though. But something to watch nonetheless. All right, that is it for today's edition of the video. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and God bless.